some of the best anime are the ones almost nobody talks about. Not because they're bad, but because they quietly slipped under the radar. Today, I'm sharing 10 anime that surprised me the most, and that deserve way more attention than they ever got. Let's start with Blue Period. This anime is criminally underrated, especially if you've ever felt lost in life. It follows Yatora Yaguchi, a high school student who's good at everything, but passionate about nothing. One day, he discovers art, and from that moment on, his entire life starts to fall apart. In the best way possible. Blue Period isn't about talent. It's about obsession, self-doubt, and the fear of not being good enough. The anime shows how painful and exhausting creative work can be. Late nights, frustration, comparing yourself to others, and that's why it hits so hard. If you've ever chased a dream or felt pressure to be successful, Blue Period will hurt, but in a good way. If you want an anime that feels real, raw, and deeply relatable, Blue Period deserves way more attention. And if you think this kind of personal struggle only works in art anime, let me show you a sports anime that does it just as well. Why does nobody talk about Aoashi? If you think Haikyuu is the peak of sports anime, wait a second. Aoashi is a football anime, but without the time stops, special move nonsense. It follows Aoi Ashito. He has talent, but his game sense, pretty chaotic. And somehow this guy ends up in an elite youth academy in Tokyo. What really makes Aoashi special is that it introduces a twist you don't see very often in sports anime. No spoilers. But Ashito's role on the field changes, and suddenly it's not just about scoring goals, but about reading the entire game. And the best part, the protagonist is not overpowered. He makes really stupid mistakes. He falls flat on his face. He learns from them, and he grows slowly. That's exactly what makes Aoashi so good. The anime sometimes feels like a sports documentary in anime form. Tactics, positioning, real pressure. If you like football or sports anime with real character development, Aoashi is massively underrated and absolutely worth watching. And sometimes, pressure has nothing to do with talent at all. Next up is Lookism. This anime surprised a lot of people, and somehow it still feels underrated. Lookism is about appearances, how people treat you based on how you look. It follows Park Hyung-seok, a bullied high school student who suddenly wakes up with two bodies. One is attractive, one is not. And without turning this into spoilers, the anime uses this setup to ask some uncomfortable questions. How differently do people treat you when you're good looking? How much of your value comes from your appearance? Lookism mixes social commentary, school drama, and surprisingly dark moments. It's not just about fighting or style, it's about identity, self-worth, and the pressure to fit in. If you want an anime that feels uncomfortably real at times, Lookism is absolutely worth your time and deserves way more attention. Okay, enough depression. Let's talk romance. Next up is My Love Story with Yamada-kun at level 999. At first glance, this just looks like another cute rom-com. But trust me, it's way better than you'd expect. The story follows Akane, who gets dumped and somehow ends up falling for a pro gamer who is emotionally level 1. What makes this anime stand out is how natural the romance feels. No forced drama, no endless misunderstandings. Just awkward moments, slow progress, and genuinely likable characters. It's also one of those rare romance anime that understands modern relationships, online games, texting, and slowly opening up to someone. If you want something wholesome, funny, and easy to watch, Yamada-kun at level 999 is massively underrated and absolutely worth your time. Alright, enough cozy vibes. Let's get a little weird next. Next up is Sabakoi Bisco, and yeah, this anime is weird, in the best way possible. The story takes place in a post-apocalyptic Japan where a mysterious rust disease is destroying everything. And the solution? Mushrooms. Giant mushrooms. Sabakoi Bisco is loud, chaotic, and completely unapologetic about it. You've got insane character designs, wild action scenes, and a world that feels like someone mixed Mad Max, fantasy, and pure anime nonsense together. But beneath all that craziness, there's actually a solid story about friendship, loyalty, and doing the right thing even when the world is falling apart. It's not a perfect anime, but it's creative, unpredictable, and nothing like the usual seasonal stuff. If you're tired of safe anime, Sabakui Bisco is a wild ride that deserves way more attention. Now, let's keep the chaos, but make it way more fun. If you're in the mood for something completely ridiculous, this one's for you. Ranman is pure chaotic fun. It's set in an over-the-top version of America, where a group of absolute weirdos decide to race cars from coast to coast. You've got inventors, outlaws, samurai, and geniuses, all competing in the same insane race. The anime doesn't take itself too seriously, and that's exactly why it works. The animation is colorful, the characters are ridiculous, and every episode feels like anything could happen at any moment. But surprisingly, it still has heart. There's passion, rivalry, and that classic anime theme of chasing your dream no matter how crazy it looks. If you want something fast, fun, and just straight up entertaining, Ranman is a seriously underrated gem. Alright, fun time's over. Let's get gritty. This anime is not for everyone. Gangsta is raw, brutal, and unapologetically dark. It's set in a corrupt city where gangs, criminals, and dirty politics run everything. The story follows two mercenaries who take on jobs no one else wants to touch. And what makes Gangsta stand out is how grounded it feels. There's real violence, real consequences. No flashy hero moments and no safety net. The characters are broken, morally gray, and constantly walking the line between survival and self-destruction. Gangsta doesn't try to be cool, it just is. If you're tired of clean, polished anime and want something rough, mature, and uncomfortable at times, Gangsta is a criminally underrated classic. Now, let's stay in the city but trade guns for reality. This anime flew completely under the radar. Ikebukuro Westgate Park feels less like an anime and more like a snapshot of real life in Tokyo. The story follows Makoto, a normal guy living in Ikebukuro who constantly gets pulled into gang conflicts, street problems, and messy human drama. There are no superpowers here, no flashy fights. Just people making bad decisions and dealing with the consequences. What makes this anime special is how real it feels. It talks about loneliness, belonging, and how easy it is to get lost when you don't really know where you fit in. Ikebukuro Westgate Park isn't flashy, but it's honest, and that's exactly why it works. If you like grounded stories that feel uncomfortably close to reality, this one is seriously underrated. Before we jump into the last two anime, if this video helped you find something new, a like or a subscribe would mean a lot. Alright, let's switch gears for something visually stunning. This one is a movie, and visually it's absolutely stunning. Bubble takes place in a version of Tokyo where gravity has completely broken down, turning the city into a playground for parkour and free running. At first glance, it looks like it's all about visuals, and to be fair, the animation is insane. Every frame feels fluid, colorful, and almost weightless. But underneath that spectacle, Bubble is a very quiet story. It's about isolation, connection, and finding someone who understands you when the world feels upside down. The movie doesn't rely on heavy dialogue. A lot of its emotion comes from movement, music, and atmosphere. If you're into anime movies that are more about feeling than explanation, Bubble is a beautiful, underrated experience that's best watched in one sitting. And for the very last entry, let's stay with movies but go somewhere much more melancholic. This one is also a movie, and it's very different from everything else on this list. Maboroshi is quiet, slow, and deeply melancholic. The story takes place in a town that's stuck in time where nothing is allowed to change, and neither are the people living there. Instead of action or spectacle, this movie focuses on emotions, confusion, loneliness, and the fear of moving forward. Maboroshi is the kind of film that doesn't explain everything to you. It lets moments breathe, and it expects you to sit with how it makes you feel. It's not for everyone, but if it clicks, it really sticks with you. If you enjoy anime movies that are introspective, symbolic, and a little uncomfortable, Maboroshi is a beautifully underrated watch. And those were 10 anime that I genuinely think deserve more attention. If you discovered at least one new anime today, I'd really appreciate a like and a subscribe. Let me know in the comments which one you'd recommend, or which underrated anime I should check out next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.